here for the public hearing for the aggregation of electric in the city of Forest Park. And we'll start the public hearing. We have, starting the public hearing, we'll ask for anyone who is in favor of or would like to speak in favor of the proposed legislation. This is the opportunity to do that first. So we'll start with our our aggregator, who will tell us a little bit about it and what what you can expect and what this particular legislation is. And excuse me, I have a pretty sore throat today, so
stay away from us. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the electric aggregation public meeting for the City of Forest Park. What we are going to talk about tonight has nothing really to do with the price or things like that. What this is this is a portion of the certificate that Forest Park has to file with the Public Utilities Commission to complete their certificate to even start a program. So basically what this does is it lays a pretty loose framework around what the City of Forest Park wants their program to fall within. You know, certain things in there that we'll have in the final contract, but it is not pricing and it is not terms and conditions. Those will come later as we find a supplier to submit to Forest Park, and at that point we will tell Forest Park or give them our best advice on what kind of terms and conditions should be in the deal and what the pricing should be. So basically, voters approved electric aggregation issue on the ballot on November 5th of this year. Basically, the community as a governmental aggregator will serve as a purchasing agent for aggregation. So they'll go out, they've asked us to represent them in this process, and they'll go out and they'll get pricing from suppliers to bring back, and that will encompass all kinds of different pricing structures, including renewables and things like that, to make sure that every available option for the city council will be in front of them by the time we get that pricing. We'll negotiate the contract for the city and give it to the city for the city to review and decide whether they want to do it. Basically, in this document, it covers who is eligible, who can opt out, and basically, to not go too far into it, those that are eligible are those that are with Duke and not in a third-party contract, and folks that are not on PIP. So if you are with Duke and you are not under a third-party contract or not in PIP, you will be able to be in the aggregation. You will be able to opt out initially in the initial opt-out period, but in our contract as we come through later, you'll be able to opt out or get back in whenever you want in the period of the contract. So that will be for everyone that is eligible will be able to come and go as they please. This just goes through then how the program's kind of handled. The utility will do all the billing. It'll all stay the same. There is no change. If you have even billing or something like that, that will not change. It will stay the same. They will just do a recalculation at the same time they did the next recalculation. I think they do them at the end of the year. The utility handles all the credit. They do all the collections. They do everything. If this document outlines places that you can make phone calls to if you have an issue, you'll be able to. It indicates that if there's a regular power outage or an emergency, you still call Duke Energy. They still do the same things. If you need service turned on, moved, or off, moving, still Duke. Any billing disputes, that'll be Duke. Joining and leaving the program will be the supplier, whoever is chosen by the council. Say they choose Dynegy, AEP. AEP, we'll say. They use AEP. You'll be able to contact them. You'll also be able to contact Energy Alliances, which is the company that I'm with, and we are able to take you out and put you in the program if you don't feel like calling the supplier. Then at the bottom it says unresolved disputes. That's Public Utilities Commission and the Ohio Consumers Council, meaning you talk to Energy Alliances, you talk to the supplier, you still aren't satisfied. You talk to Forest Park, you're still not satisfied. You can go to the Public Utilities or the Ohio Consumers Council, which is a consumer watchdog group. So, couple of things also provided that we've put in here is if you move within the community, you'll still be able to take advantage of it. If you come from outside and move into the community, no matter when you do it in the contract term, you'll still be able to get in the program at any time. So there's not a issue with, oh, I moved in and they were getting 4.9 cents and now they're not offering that. If you move in, you still get the original contract term offer. And we'll put that, and that is in here. So if you move outside the community, you can't, you'll go from the program. Hopefully that other community will have another program that you can get into. And if that would happen, generally, that's not in here, but if you call us, we'll help you get hooked up with a new program if you move somewhere else. And then we talked a little bit about it, talks a little bit about rolling after the opt-out period. You moved in or you opted out, you can always come back in. So there are elements of that in here, but in the final terms of the contract and conditions, that'll talk about how you can come and go. So this is just a loose framework of how the programs run and how Forest Park Council wants us to operate within. This is the document that will be filed with the PUCO, and it is merely a portion of the certification process. There's a lot of other stuff that Forest Park has to have done to get certified, but it's all paperwork and form things. And we're gonna, as soon as the council would adopt this, we would file the certification and program's on its way.
A quick couple notes. City Council will be reviewing this again. There will be another public hearing in a week. And there'll be, at which point, we have to have 2 public hearings, at which point City Council then will be acting on the electric ordinance and the gas ordinance to allow us to move forward. So just so you know the timing, it's going to take a couple weeks for this thing's finished out.
I'm sorry?
Like if we don't have their email address.
We're notified of
The meetings.
we publish them in the newspaper, and they're available on the website. And if you don't have the website, basically the public meetings are tonight, and then next Monday night at 6:30 and 7 again. The law requires we do it in a newspaper.
The Cincinnati Enquirer.
I think we did in the Enquirer.
Yeah, I think so. It's on our website as well.
Yeah, and it's on the website if you.
Yeah, that's better than getting the paper.
Yeah, the website is sometimes better than getting a paper.
We also did it on the Facebook. We put it on Facebook.
I think it was in the newsletter as well. I'm not sure if it made the newsletter. I think it did. The Forest Park.
Does it take a certain amount of people to be a part of this here before you can get this program up and running?
No,
No.
no matter how many folks are eligible, we'll start a program if it's financially viable for the community. We're not going to come in and bring a price that's over the price to compare. That would be bad for us and you.
When do you expect, there are a lot of things that are going on, I know, I've been working with you, so I know the answer to this. But when do you think the program will be put in front of the city council about? And then they'll be receiving their letter letting them know about the program and things of that nature. And the pricing and how to opt in or how to opt out, things like that.
A lot of the portion of the stuff that's going on right now is doing the paperwork, and then it sits up at the PUCO for 30 days. So we have a natural 30-day kind of a waiting period before we can go out and get the list from the utility that says everyone who's eligible, and then we have to clean that list because a lot of times we don't want people from Springfield Township or anybody else on that list. We want to make sure the list is correct. And then that it'll take about 3 or 4 weeks to get the pricing correct. What'll happen is it'll take 2 weeks to get it, and then we'll negotiate it down further for another 2 weeks, if we can have that kind of time. And then we'll have to submit the opt-out letter that the folks will get, which council will have and see and approve before anybody gets it. And then that will sit up at the PUCO for 10 days for some other reason, I don't know. And then once it comes back, it'll be mailed out, and as they get mailed out and folks are going into the program and then opting out, then that list will be created, and you'll just start rolling into the program. So I would say that you'll see the letters, if I'm hopeful that we get everything done, you should see them mid-April, and people should start going on to the program by the end of May. Depending on, and you and I probably have different meter read dates, so you'll finish out whatever the last month is if you're on with Duke or with someone else, you'll finish that out, and then you'll go into because you can't come in between meter read dates because they handle the credit, and that's the deal. I hate doing this, but I can give you comparisons locally right now. Springfield Township just signed a deal for 4.95 cents kilowatt hour, and the price to compare is like 5.7, 5.8, and some of us think that price to compare for Duke is going to go up this year too in May. So Forest Parks program will be coming on right as that might happen.
So if we don't opt out now, at a different time, if we decide that we want to opt out, we can.
Anytime. You can opt out of every one of our programs at any time.
How much is the termination fee?
0.
Well, the reason I ask that is because in page 3, it says, other than the initial 21 days opt-out period, each participant is provided an opportunity to opt out every 3 years without paying an early termination fee.
Correct. That's boilerplate language from the PUCO that we have to have in there, but it's been made clear to Wright and the Forest Park Council that when we end up doing the deal, the terms and conditions, that's really what will guide the program, is the terms and conditions that come with whenever the aggregation will start. Those will have unlimited opt-out capabilities, unlimited opt-in capabilities, and no termination fee ever.
Something like that, it kind of makes you wonder
Well,
whose rule we're going by, what's written in there or.
so here's how I can maybe explain it. We want to put in their boilerplate language that's already been acceptable. And what if say they came to us and said, okay, we're going to give you 4 cents, but we want a $10 early termination fee on that. And the next offer, the next best offer is 4.9 cents with no termination fee. If we don't put that language in there, the board has no choice on the very, very low price that might save people a bunch of money because there's a termination fee on it. So this is only something, like I said, just a loose framework within which we'll run the program. So we don't want to take anything off the table, but at the same time, our programs, every one of them, have no termination fees, come and go as you please, all in the terms and conditions. So this is merely a framework that you got to stay in. That's all.
If I can ask our city manager a question. Mr. Jones, can that be part of the resolution that council will pass as far as no opt-out fees?
We can put that in there.
As a former council person, I like a little bit more logistics. I understand, and I'm not saying anything about you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that I'd rather have things in rock and stone than on paper.
The question would be acceptable language so that it'd get through PUCO to make sure that it's acceptable and gets approved. Second thing, we would be limiting ourselves to anything into the future that might come up. And that would be the only reason we wouldn't want to do it. But the contract itself that comes in that city council has to pass before this whole thing starts is a place to put that language. So as long as that contract has it, I think the public's protected because you're going to get a chance to see that. And if it's not in there, we won't recommend it. And rest assured that as far as I can say with the people that I work for, there's not one of them that will approve something like that. So I think it just gives us the ability to be flexible in the future because this plan is going to be here forever. You know, and I'm not sure what the process is to amend it, but if it's anything like putting it in place, it's pretty darn hard. So it would be, I think, you know, the first term, I believe, is somewhere, I think we're looking at probably a 3-year contract, maybe, which will have all that language in it. But that's where we want to make sure it's there. We just can't even entertain a bid when we put a bid out. That doesn't, if it says that, we can't even accept it because it wouldn't be under the terms. But if someone wants to lowball it and offer us the cheapest price on the planet, I'm willing to throw it out to the public and say, what do you guys think? You know, but I would say, you know, bottom line is there will never be any, as far as I can see, ever any fees associated with opting in or opting out, unlimited in, unlimited out. That's the way it has to be in the contract, or I won't approve it.
There was something you mentioned earlier about, okay, I have a third party, IG.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And whenever my contract is up, I'll probably have to opt out until the contract is up, and only if the price is cheaper than IGS that I have right now. If it is, and let's just say it's April 1st, and this is just a date out of the sky that I opt out, when do I notify you guys that I want to be in so there's no lapse, no gaps or anything?
Well, first thing I would do is I would caution you to make sure you don't have a fee if you would opt out. Okay, that's what I'm saying. So there's a couple things at play. So they're required to send you a letter giving you a new offer. Okay, so be careful of that when you get that. So I don't know what kind of deal you're in. I don't know if what kind of deal they're going to give you next. Nobody, can predict that. So what I would say is take a look at your program, know your terms and conditions and the parameters of your deal first, and then if there's a gap there, say your contract terminates April 1 with them, and we don't start until May 1. Yep. If we've started, you'll go right over. You'll come right over.
How do I do that?
Just call us.
Just call you on that date.
Whenever, you can call me a week or before,
Oh.
and we can have it scheduled to go on that day. Yeah, and it's not, we're not, doing anything, but it's just a paper change. So yeah, so just know your contract terms and conditions, and then just give us a little bit of notice. We can move you over.
Any gaps, or if there was a gap, then it would go directly to Duke, wouldn't it?
You would go back to Duke.
Yeah.
So that might be if you're a business, you have to stay sometimes for a certain period of time. But since you're a resident, you could go to Duke and then go right into the aggregation.
Okay, anybody? Any more questions? Any more concerns? You can stay right now because we're going to start the next public hearing about the same thing in just a minute, so we can probably keep going. Okay, anybody, any additional folks would like to ask any questions or speak yay or nay?
So the second meeting is really about the same thing, right?
Except,
It's about the gas part of this, but It's exactly the same thing. Yes. Okay.
If anybody would like to be on my, I'm Ray Quinn, I'm the environmental guy. If anybody would like to be on my email list that's not, I'm gonna keep everybody abreast of where we are on this thing, when the letters might be coming out, when to start looking for them and all that kind of stuff. If you're not on my email list, I'll be more than happy to get your information and add you to the list. Is there anybody that needs?
Okay, let's begin call the second public hearing to order. This is the public hearing stated for 7 o'clock for the gas aggregation ordinance. And we're here. We'd like to ask if there's anybody in favor of the ordinance that would like to speak this evening and explain it to us. Go ahead and explain it to us, because we are on TV.
Okay, I'll give you a quick once-over. It's very similar to the electric program we just explained, but I'll go through it anyway again. On November 5th, voters passed the issue approving the referendum to authorize the City of Forest Park to pursue governmental gas aggregation. Community, as a government aggregator, will serve as the purchasing agent for the residents. They will negotiate the contract along with energy alliances, and we'll submit it to council for approval, and all the terms and conditions that the deal will have in it will be submitted at that time. Eligibility, opt-out, and disclosures. The eligible residents will be those that are with Duke on natural gas and not with a third-party supplier, and on the PIP program. Billing will be handled by Duke. All the credit, collections, deposits will be handled by Duke. If you have any concerns or complaints, there is a list of numbers here for gas, odor, leaks, fire explosions, Duke Energy Ohio, service turn on or off, Duke Energy, billing disputes, Duke Energy, joining or leaving the program or program regulatory questions, that will be the chosen supplier. And any unresolved disputes would go to the Public Utilities Commission or the Ohio Consumers Council that the residents can always go to if their questions are not answered. You will be able to get in the program at the opt-out time, and if you move within that time and stay in the community, you can stay in the program, obviously. If you move outside the community, hopefully there'll be another aggregation, but you won't be able to continue. If you move into the community and were not in previously, you'll be able to join at any time and enroll outside of the initial opt-out period at the same rate. So basically, that is it. The same set of rules, pretty much. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Questions from the audience? This is the first set of public hearings for the gas aggregation and the electric aggregation. They were required to have 2 separate public hearings for each one. The first set is tonight. The next set will be next Monday night, the 16th, at 6:30 for electric aggregation and 7 o'clock for gas aggregation. If there's any citizens that at that time that would like to come and discuss this, either in favor or against, we offer that as an opportunity to raise questions and show up and get your questions answered. That night, after the second public hearing, City Council will entertain approval of the electric and the gas aggregation ordinances, and it's expected that they would be passed that evening, assuming that the votes are there to do that. Any other questions from the group? Seeing none, I declare this public hearing over.